Hello gamers, Matt Lemke here with your gamer goggles. We have an interview from Origins with Jason Dickerson. He's the line developer for DreamPod 9 with the Heavy Gear line. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to let him introduce himself real quick, and then we're going to move into some of the things he's been working on.
I'm Jason Dickerson, line developer for DreamPod 9. I make Heavy Gear Blitz, Heavy Gear Arena, and all Heavy Gear related products. I actually work on the development of our IP, so anything that's new that's coming out, I'm part of the development process, and I oversee it.
So Jason's been working on some projects recently, specifically the field guides, so we're going to move in with where he's at so you can kind of get anxious. So where are you at in the redesign process of the field guides?
Well, we're currently playtesting some of the existing Army forces, and we're actually going to be coming out with additional field guides throughout the next few quarters. The goal is to get the core armies from Locked and Loaded finished first, so that we can have the most popular armies done first.
So if I understand where you're at correctly, you're kind of getting ready to send the Northern Field Guide off to print?
Not quite. First book's coming out is the Southern Guide.
I'm a step ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Southern Guide is actually currently in development. After that, we'll be looking at probably a Northern Guide and then Israel after that.
So what kind of juice can you give us from the Southern Guide?
Oh, there's probably about 12 new units that are coming out. One of them's a big surprise. If you read Gear Up 5, you might see a little bit of a preview silhouette of what it might look like. There's a little short story in there that you might want to look at. So,
we'll get the silhouette. That'll be the best.
Yeah. There's also the new unit construction system, just like the new whole book did for PAC. It's going to have a more visual organization instead of just a wall of text. And we'll have some pre-configured squads with general options and some squad-specific options. We're also looking at doing some group-specific combat groups that will make the game a little bit more flavorful for the sub-factions. So you can expect to see some interesting things coming out for Humanist Alliance, Southern Republic, Militia.
So you keep saying names?
Obviously the militia has convict units, so you can expect to see some convict-oriented, kind of like really cheap combat groups for the South. They're kind of the militia that's kind of signature for them. Southern Republic, they're going to be a lot more elite than they have been in the books. It's going to be a little bit more focused, so that if you're playing Southern Republic, it's going to be a very elite option. They got the new shiny toys. There's quite a few
new shiny toys.
New shiny toys. Obviously the Southern Republic bankrolls most of the military by subjugating and forcing other countries to basically pay for their army, so they get all the shiny toys first. So as an elite faction, they'll have access to the best toys, and they'll have some rules to go along that help generate that kind of play. If you play Southern Republic, it's going to play differently. They'll have some different options from, say, to become peacekeepers. Peacekeepers are getting quite a few new options too, and it's going to emphasize their policing force background. The Humanist Alliance is actually going to start integrating a lot of the people stuff that we brought in with the new field guide. So it's going to clarify and expand on those options. So it's a lot more concise. What was in the new field guide was just kind of a primer to get Humanist Alliance players some model access. The Southern Guide will actually focus on and give you specific options. So everything that's legal in the new full guide, it's still going to carry over. You're just going to get more options in the Southern Guide.
It sounds like it's pretty big.
It's probably going to be bigger than the new book. Oh, and the fluff for the book is actually being expanded. So when we left off on Perfect Storm, it was Terra Nova 1951. It's going to pick up around the same time frame. It's going to be like a slightly later time frame. There's a lot going on in the South. The Civil War that happened in the Southern Republic, you'll find out what was some of the inconsequences of that in the book. You're going to see what happened to the Humanist Alliance after the Fleet of Blight and the Southern Republic absorbed part of the Humanist Alliance. Just defined boundaries of where the free humanist lines are. So some of the things that have been like simple sentences in some of the previous books, the fiction on that's going to be expanded on. So you'll have a lot more fluff.
Which you
to
can
look at.
clearly do. You showed that with the New Cold book. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw this little like paragraph and locked and loaded, and then I see this big field manual. And like, holy cows!
Yeah.
So that's a living testament.
I love the Heavy Gear setting. I've loved it since it came out in '95. I kind of feel like I'm a caretaker of the IP, and I want to make sure that I do it right. So.
Well, from what I've seen, I think you're doing a good job so far, but I haven't seen a whole lot. So
Well, you fix that.
I only have 90 days experience, or maybe 60, but no, 6 months. So how about? Do you have any plans for the rules that you can share with us, or what direction you kind of want to take the flow of play, or are there any major changes you want to make?
There's some things that we're looking at doing for the next year up to help with some of the issues dealing with indirect fighting stuff that I'm working on. So you'll probably want to look at Gear Up 6 for that. I'm hoping to have those up for Gen Con. Of course, plans can go one way and happen another way. So
We know this to be true.
the plan is to have Gear Up 6 out before Gen Con. Of course, it may be right after Gen Con too. So Southern Guide kind of takes precedence.
For good reason.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add, or anything you want to share that you feel should be shared with the Heavy Gear audience?
Well, let's see. If you're really liking the models that you saw for Nicole, you can expect a lot of stuff like that for the Southern Blip. I know there were some interesting new designs that Thomas, the guy who did the tanks and vehicles for the new book guide, he's done some designs for us for the new book. They look phenomenal. We also have David Tazia, who did the Hussar and the Lancer models for us. He's working on a few projects for us. There's a lot of neat stuff coming out in the Southern Field Guide. If you're a Southern player, you're really going to like the rest of this year.
This is going to be kind of like a rebirth.
Well, it's more like adding more to the family.
That's good. I'm glad to see it's going forward.
You're not going to invalidate your old models. We don't want to do that to players. It's nothing like that. It's not. We're not a gaming company that does that. We can allow the old tactical year stuff. If you have.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories about how it looks so different.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it yet.
Some people, still have them. I still have some of my old tactical stuff, but I love the new models. So I can't say most of my old stuff's getting replaced with the new stuff.
What would you say your favorite part of Heavy Gear is then, or what? Yeah, let's start with your favorite part. Let's go there.
My favorite part of Heavy Gear, the thing that got me into Heavy Gear was a little book called Life on Terra Nova. When I got the rule book back in '95, the original edition, it was a pretty solid system, and I thought that was attractive, but the world setting just sucked me in. I mean, I am a setting junkie. I mean, I really just love highly detailed settings. And you combine that with giant robots, I mean, how can you not win?
It's true.
Yeah.
Now you need magicians.
Oh, science is just magic, man.
Then it would be riffs.
Yeah.
That's just
Slightly different. There's plenty of people doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you have a real good side. There's a lot of political intrigue. There's we just finished talking about how magicians should be entered in. So we're going to go ahead and now.
Actually, the hard science fiction factor of Heavy Gear is another attractive thing because
yes, and that's where
it's not Minovsky particles making magic stuff. It's we try to make the science as realistic as possible. So,
well, I think you can kind of see that in the engineering with something like the Hussar, because I looked at when I was putting that together, I'm like, wow, okay, I understand why this is on top now, because this can't really make a full turn with the arms down at the side. I'm like, they did a pretty good job with the engineering of it. I don't know anything about physics, so...
well, You do have to stretch the science a little bit.
Well, you have to. I mean,
right.
look at Avatar in what was it, Absintinium? I mean, it was Absintinium, wasn't it? Or what they were trying to mine meant like it can't exist.
Unobtainium.
Oh, unobtainium, yeah. The whole movie was about something that can't be obtained.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't about that thing that can be obtained. It was great. So yeah, you can stretch it and get away with it. You don't need a lot. There's some of the writers that talked about science fiction at Gen Con. They said you only need a little bit of truth to make it work, and they're right. You only need a little bit. The rest is how you make it make sense.
That's right.
And the world makes sense. So I was talking about you've got the political intrigues. You can do a lot of stuff with that. You've got the science fiction. You've got the desert nomads, and you've got everything. It's a really solid universe.
The world has multiple cultures. It's not. It's not one world, one culture. It's multiple cultures on one planet.
And you really, from what I've seen, because my experience is basically locked and loaded field manual and the Blitz stuff. So I haven't read any of the old field manuals or anything like that. So it's from reading that, it's like you're really just at the tip of the iceberg for where you want it to go.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I always hear people asking me is there going to ever be another RPG? I love the RPG. It's one of the things I enjoy. So I wouldn't discount it being totally done. Right now, Blitz is taking priority, but it's always in the back of our mind that we want to get it done. So,
Interesting.
There's a little tidbit for you.
That's a little tidbit. Yes, that's a good tidbit. Now, as a player, what would you say? Oh, what's your favorite faction?
I'll probably get a lot of grief for this, but I like the South, and anybody who goes to the forums knows that I'm an ASP aficionado. If you read my gear up, I'm a fan of the ASP.
It's a cool looking model.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd own 100 of them.
Yes, I found somebody who's more of an ASP fanatic than I am, so I'm going to have to turn over my title to him this weekend. But I love the South. The South has so much variety as far as cultural dynamics, and models are just. I like my curves in my models. I know some people are like, give me hard edges.
We all like our curves on our models.
Yeah, I like
guys.
Yeah, I'm a guy. I like the curves, you know.
So, I couldn't resist that.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of appeal. You can play the Southern Republic, and you kind of get this honor-bound, elitist group that have certain high-end models. And you've got the peacekeepers, and they bring kind of like a little bit of the older stuff, but you also have like a lot of the MP stuff. There's a lot of variety. The cool thing about our game is you don't have to pick one sub-faction and run with it. You can actually, if I play South with a couple of models in and out of the army, I can play any of the sub-factions I want. There's a lot of interchange between those sub-factions, even between some of the armies. If I attach like a legalist force, I could actually pull in Northern and Peace River armies into like a ESC independent force. It's one of the things I like about the game. I actually own all the models except for Caprice and CDF.
You're slacking.
I'm a little bit of a slacker, but I'll probably remedy that this summer.
That's good.
Nicole's my new baby, but kind of help design it, so gotta love your children, right?
I suppose you have to love your children with a stick.
I'll let other people beat up my children. You might want to edit
I wonder if that's abuse.
Well, they're a lot of love figures. I don't think there's all in the books for that.
This is true. So what would your favorite game mechanic be?
Favorite game mechanic?
Oh, that's loaded, isn't it?
The
rules are only 19 pages, and it should be like 80.
That's true. Our rules on the surface look very simple, but when you get into the tactics, they're incredibly deep. In fact, as a line editor, I find that different people play the game different ways, and it's still legitimate and legal and valid. I come to tournaments and conventions, and people will shock me with the way they play their game. And it's not that, you can't do that in the rules. It's just, wow, you're utilizing something in a way that it wasn't designed to. That wasn't the way I designed it, but you're using it in a way that works for you.
That's what good soldiers do.
And it's excellent. I like that probably about the rules the most, people will take ownership of the rules and they will play it in a way that works for them. And to see people, tackle the problems that they face, because, as you know, in heavy gear, you can design an army, and it may be good for a lot of the stuff you do, but if you're playing in a tournament, you may run into a guy that approaches something in a different way, and your army suddenly
Shuts down
because you didn't think about the way the guy plays, and then instead of shutting down, what happens a lot of times is people say, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to fix this?" And look at the problem. And a lot of times they come up with some creative ways of problem solving if you have a really good player who's
and understands the game.
and understands the game mechanics,
Which I think that's part of what appeals to me for the game, is more so now than it did on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I thought I knew how to play the game, people. I was educated.
Well, I find that any game system, you could have the best written rule book in the world, until you get one-on-one time with someone who has experience in the game, you don't learn the nuances in the game.
And this is a game you need to learn the nuances of.
Yeah.
You really do. I mean, you have to understand the game first in baby steps. Otherwise, you're probably going to get frustrated. And then you need to start thinking about how to work the tactics in it after you understand those things.
Yeah, it's definitely, we recommend, with the pod squad guys, they usually recommend you go through 4 solid games, you learn the basics. Then you start adding on some of the more advanced rules. They're still part of the core mechanics. Learn to move and shoot first, those are important. Then you might want to start incorporating concealment and cover, because those are kind of abstract ideas, and some people have trouble wrapping their brains around how those mechanics work. Because they are it is a difficult concept to understand that you can shoot through a house with a 40mm cannon as long as you know that there's something on the other side. Modern warfare, 50 caliber machine gun will shoot through a brick wall. It will not stop you from shooting through a wall.
And we're not talking about modern warfare. We're talking about future warfare.
Yes.
So,
but a lot of the stuff we do is based on modern stuff.
Yes.
In fact, a lot of the guys who play our games are military guys. And in fact, one of my best friends who does a lot of the writing in Europe, he's in the military, and he plays the game and he loves it because of the combined arms factor. And I've talked to a couple of other guys who are in the military and they like it.
combined arms is very appealing.
Yes, the combined arms. I think one thing that shocks a lot of people is the gears are not the king of the battlefield. They're the queens of the battlefield. They've bridged the gap between the infantry and the tanks. The tanks are your heavy hitters, but they can't get everywhere they need to get to.
Yeah, so they're not really the kings either. They're more kingly.
They are more kingly. You have to respect them. You have to respect the tanks. The tanks on the board, you've got to respect their presence. And with the gears, the gears have clearly defined roles, and if you understand what their roles are, you can play the game a lot better. It's that finesse thing. It's that finesse thing that you have to understand the nuances.
Stereotyping the gears. That's a good article. How about get you to work on that?
Might be a gear up article.
That'd be a good one for gear up.
Terrain's another element that comes in play to our game that people play with different types of boards, and I learn a lot from talking to people and the type of boards they play. My friend Garrett, who's running the tournament with us, he is very, very knowledgeable on the tournament scene, and he was telling in-depth information on how he sets his boards up. And it's interesting because I hit up multiple tournaments throughout the year, and everybody does it a little bit differently. And his reasoning behind it really amazed me. I love coming to cons just because of that. It's that problem-solving, task-oriented stuff that you see that people tackle problems in a different way. And it really, that's the part of the job I enjoy.
Anything else?
You want to ask me that I can answer?
No, I wanted to learn more about the field guide, but I think we covered everything that I wanted to know. And I mean, I'm still absorbing everything I've learned here about the game and the show. So,
one thing that I recommend is if you have trouble with the game, go to our forums. We have an incredible community there. It's very helpful. It's very open. Everybody has to start from somewhere, and it's a great way of things to help you start performance. Also, we have a pod squad, so if you're in that area, you can see if there's someone who does demos in there, and they'll come out to your stores and help demo for you. Learning one-on-one is probably the quickest, best way.
Oh, it's definitely the best way. Reading the book is not the best way.
Once you understand how the core mechanics work, if you go back and look at the book
It makes a lot more sense.
It makes a lot more sense, and the book is there as kind of like a reference.
Yeah, this is not the kind of game you try and treat yourself or teach yourself by reading. It's the kind of game you learn by playing and then reading and then playing again and then rereading. Because they are deep. The rules are deep.
And we did some things to try to streamline that with the flowcharts. But I'm the same way with like any rule system I pick up, I'll read through it, and I have a preconception of what I'm expecting, and then when you go and play it, it's like, oh wow, it's a lot different than
I had a
expected.
preconception when it came down, and well, I'm ADHD, and well, for whatever reason, if it's technical reading, it doesn't stick. It just falls away. But I can tell you, novels I read in 10th grade. So like, I must have read Blitz or the field manual 40 or 50 times before it came to the show.
Oh wow!
Not necessarily all at once, but when we were working on an area, it was okay. Let's read this. Okay, let's go back over it. Well, wait a minute. What does that really? Let's go look at it again. And we probably overread and put too much emphasis on some of the semantics. But when we do that, it's like that. For me, that's how I get things to stick. I have to do it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm better off to show up without having a rule book. Say, hey, teach me how to play.
I think most people are like that. And one of the things we're going to do to help out on that this summer, I'll be working on doing how to play videos, little 3-minute chunks. So there's some visual, and it's going to be kind of like a virtual. I'm there to help you learn type deal. And hopefully that'll help out, because if you have the basics, I think you will understand the book much better.
I think little tutorials would be a big help.
Some of the stuff.
So what are the big plans for Gen Con?
Gen Con, well, we have our Grand National North American Tournament there, so that's always a big thing.
And that's 1,000 point threat value, right?
I believe so. John Ewan is actually the one that actually is going to be doing the tournaments.
Well, that's already posted in forums, so you can check it out there.
And if you want to participate, you want to make sure that you get signed up, because those slots fill up fast.
Yeah, I signed up like Monday or Tuesday, and there was only 20 seats left. I don't know how many seats were in it. I don't remember. I think it was like 32.
Yeah, so it'll fill up quicker.
And I was going to play the beginner event.
Oh yeah, those are always good.
It's full.
It's already full. Okay, well there you go. We also have open gaming tables there, so if you have any questions and you want to just come by, just try it out, learn the rules a little bit more in depth, learn those nuances. There'll be experienced personnel that will be manning those stations, showing you the ins and outs of how to play heavy game.
I think that's it. Here you go, gamers. Jason Dickerson with DreamPod 9 and Matt Lemke from 3Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, from Origins, 2013. Have a good day.